Joining me now to discuss her op-ed is Sue Gordon, former Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence and a CNBC contributor. Sue, thanks for being with us. I just lay this argument down for me, especially since it's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that in terms of these briefings that former presidents get, the most sensitive intel is actually usually typically scrubbed before that former president receives it anyway.
Well, thanks, Morgan, for having me, and good afternoon. The reason I wrote it is because I think too often we make new special rules when, in fact, the rules we have apply. And intelligence is the way we have advantage. It's the way we protect humans and partners who participate with us. And it's the way we convey information and the confidence we have in that. And in order to do that, you have to have a lot of information in it. And so you want to protect it. And my assessment is that for this president, and quite frankly, for any president, it should be a purposeful decision about whether you share it. This president has a security profile that is daunting, right? He's a businessman who travels extensively overseas. He has stated some interest in running for office again. And I'm not sure that he totally grasps all the reason why we protect the information. So when you look at that, those people who would do us harm would have a pretty interesting target in him. And so why not apply our standard need to know to it? And I think if you did, if you said, does this president need to know? I think you'd come to the conclusion that no, he doesn't. If he does at some point in the future that serves the nation's interest, then you change it up.
Hey, Sue, it's Josh Brown. Thanks so much for being with us today. And that was a great op-ed that you wrote. I wanted to ask you about the prospect for a good chunk of the stimulus money going toward things like cybersecurity. I think over the last 5 years, we've learned how vulnerable our corporations and our government agencies and the go-between companies that service both really are. What's your take on that? Is it a big investment opportunity? How crucial is it for our democracy, et cetera?
Yeah, so certainly if we needed to be reminded, we were reminded by the SolarWinds hack that we are still vulnerable. It is still important. And the connection between the private sector and the public sector really needs to be minded. Money is good. I'm glad to see it in there. I think it is reflective of how important this is. And some of it is earmarked for just modernization of infrastructure so that everyone has a modern foundation to which apply tools. But I would say I'm not sure that money is quite enough. We need to have a conversation about what our strategy for cybersecurity is going to be, because we have spent a lot of money, not only in the U.S. government, but across the U.S. over the past decade. And we are still in this place. So the question is, what is our theory? What is our practice? And what is our approach going to be? Money's good, but money isn't going to be enough. And a lot of this money is focused on the government. I would argue that let's look at that intersection between the private sector and the government, because we're well aware now that the threat surface spans both.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a significant piece of, I think, the broader national security discussion and what that strategy is going to look like. I think to that point, I mean, Yellen is getting all the attention, at least from a market standpoint today, but we have a number of nominees, secretary nominees that are testifying today, whether it's Homeland Security, Director of National Intelligence, Secretary of State, or in just a little while, General Austin, the nominee for Defense Secretary. I wonder what you expect or anticipate in terms of that broader national security strategy under a Biden administration, and where something like, for example, China is going to fit into that.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting question. I love the slate of appointees, especially this national security team. I think it's really quite a strong team. But man, there are a lot of security issues. There's COVID, there's the economy, there's climate, there's societal unrest. Cyber is in there. Domestic extremism has just reared its head. That has to be addressed. And then you have the hardy perennials of China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. So this is a big national security challenge that the new administration is going to take on. It's a seasoned team. It's going to be a team that calms waters. But I think there's going to be a second play that says, okay, what is it that we need to build to be able to advance the ball, not just calm the waters?
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.